Home Trails podcast presented by me, Ultra Running Sam. Now, this podcast is part of the Home Trails media entity that encompasses our Home Trails documentaries. You may have seen them on YouTube, so where we interview famous ultra runners from around the world and in the UK at the moment. We film them on the trail and in the home, obviously, Home Trails. Get those insights into their training, big races they've done, and then just their background information. Try and dig a bit deeper into what motivates them to go and do these amazing things that they do. Also, part of Home Trails is new for this year is our live podcast coming from big races. You may have seen us at the Spine Race in January. We were there doing our thing all week. Later on in the summer, we will be at the Lap in the Lake District, and then keep your eyes peeled for other races where we'll be popping up and doing media coverage for some big races, hopefully. So, obviously, we have a podcast now, so we'll keep doing this every week. Keep churning out the podcasts with famous runners and people in the industry, anyone that we can get on that we feel that you might be interested in related to trail running and ultra running. So on with our guest. Yes, we are recording. So official welcome to first. This is your first time on the Home Trails podcast presented by me, Ultra Running Sam. So welcome, Davy Newell. So we've got the weird bit out of the way where I asked you what you prefer with your name and everything. So we've settled on Davy.
Settled on Davy. It's the best one. I know I'm in less trouble with Davy. That's all.
Well, if we talk for long enough, then there's all sorts of trouble we could get into. So
I'm pretty good at it. Yeah, I quite enjoy it.
good, that makes three of us. Yes, we were saying before I hit recording that about using our full names, and when I was a kid, it was always when I heard Samuel, I always knew that I was in trouble. So yeah, but then it turned into Sam and Sammy. So I still get Sammy now, but that makes me feel like a kid. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe as I've got into my 40s, maybe I'm reclaiming Samuel so that I sort of feel my age.
Yeah, no, I'm Davy. It's always been Davy, and I don't know. Dave puts the hair up in the back of my neck. Few people. There's only a handful of people use it, and it's like we'll leave it at that, or people will start doing it deliberately.
We'll leave that. We'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. So I know you're not particularly into podcasts, so you won't have heard any of my previous podcasts with people. So when I have a new guest on, the question I always start with is the superhero question. So if all of us, in one way or another, in ultra running, I would call us superheroes in one way or another. So if we're all in ultra running as superheroes, whether we're a runner, a race organizer, whatever we are, if we're a superhero, superheroes always have an origin story or a backstory. So how they came to be that superhero. So Davey, the superhero that you are, what is your origin story? Go as far back as you like, as much detail or as little detail as you want to give, and how did you end up with this iconic race that you've got away from home? I'm assuming, I know that that accent isn't a Lakes accent.
It's well, there's a story in itself. I've been living in the Lakes 25 years.
Yeah.
I'm 51. Lived in Oz for a couple of years, lived in New Zealand for a while, been in Africa for a very long time, South
Wow.
America for quite a bit. So
Really?
it's like I don't know, and I hang on to the accent as hard as I can. I love it. I think being a Northern Irish guy, I think the accent. I mean, I grew up in the Troubles. Like the accent's the best thing about us.
Yeah.
Girls like it. What else is there? Like so, and you don't realize that until you leave home and you realize actually there's something else going on here. And I think I'm a bit nasal and squeaky still, you know. Go a wee bit further south, that Irish accent's way nicer, but we get away with it. We hang on to it, like. But anyway, I'll get a kicking as soon as I get back home now. I'll be over in a few weeks, and I'll get lamped as soon as I get off the boat.
Yeah.
That's all right.
So what? Yeah. Go back as far as you like, and as much. Yeah, that's interesting that you well traveled then.
Yeah, I've been around a lot. I kind of left home quite young. I just had to get out of there. Didn't do well in school and just thought I'm out of here. And working in it's interesting working in outdoor shops and Irish bars pretty much saw me around the world.
Wow.
Where are you not going to find an Irish bar?
Yeah,
You
that's
got
true.
an accent, you pull a pint, you got a job. You know, and
Very true.
anywhere I wanted to go, I kind of get into rock climbing in Northern Ireland, which there's a long tradition of it. But in Northern Ireland, where I grew up in Tyrone, there's no rock. And it was a couple of mates kind of got me up at Fairhead in the North Coast or into the Mourns. And then that was another thing that, I was an all right rock climber. And that took me out and about a bit. And then again, you've got friends when you're land somewhere new, you can find connections with people because I go to a climbing wall, somebody will talk to me, or and it's just one of those. So yeah, just things like that kind of took me around the world quite well. And being a wee lad from one of the greenest places in the world, I always wanted to see what a desert looked like. So I ended up in Africa, and I always wanted to see what jungles look like. So I ended up in South America. And, it's quite fun being the only white face on a street and stuff. I love that. That's adventure. That took me around. Got me out of got me out of the wee country that I grew up in that I love, but it was a dark wee mindset back then. It was like, get out of this. So get out of it or get caught up in it. So yeah, that took me away. Man, it's too much of a story. Events. Let's go for events. I was working in an outdoor shop in Ambleside. I think I was possibly running it. I've worked in that many around the world. I can barely remember. And I applied for a job with Guide Dogs to the Blind as an event manager. Now I'd done a few Guinness record attempts and all sorts of stuff previous to that, and I didn't really know much about organizing events other than booking a ferry and food. That was it. Then you got to go. And I remember the interview. The interview was to be an hour long, and it lasted half an hour. And when it finished, I was like, "I take it. There's nothing. I take it. I take it. I haven't got it." And the guy who's a prominent event manager still said, "Why do you think that?" I goes, "Well, it said it's going to be an hour long, and you're half an hour in, and you've wrapped it up." And he says, "Well, you answered the question I asked, and then you answered the next three in the answer." So it shortened the interview, and yeah, you've got the job. And I was like, right, okay, well, there you go. And I worked there for nearly 10 years, organizing events all around the world, cycling events, running events, won Guinness record, kind of world first, if you like, there, running ones. I had a blind marathon runner, wanted to run 7 marathons, 7 continents, 7 days, 2008.
Wow.
He read Saran's book.
Mm.
And he came to me and said, Davey, I want to do it. And I've talked to a few people and they all think I'm mad. And I goes, why? I can pull that off. I know enough people around the world and enough people in high level sport that we can get you fit. I mean, he was a 3.5 hour marathon runner with his guide. They were spicy. He's just run the London Marathon and guide blind Dave Healy. He says he's retiring from London. I saw him on the TV. It was interesting. It was his last one. But we started in the Falklands, finished at the London Marathon, raised 7 million odd for the charity, stuff like that. And then I kind of I had a few event ideas that weren't going to work for the charity. They were a bit too spicy, and I thought, well, you can't. There's only so much risk you can do with fundraising. So I left and set up my own wee company, and I had a load of events that were doing all right. And then I got diagnosed with MS, and the wheels fell off, and kind of gradually, slowly closed that down, gave events away, sold events off. And yeah, I just closed it down, ended up working in a shop again, and couldn't get a job in the charity sector, couldn't get a job outside of retail. And I launched a series of fly fishing expos, been fishing since I was a kid in Scotland, and they were going all right. But we had to kill them, we had to stop them for a couple of reasons. It's just interesting the way it works in Scotland. There's a bit of a mafia connection up there, and they want a coin on everything.
Okay.
And I am impervious to intimidation. and it didn't work. So we just shut it down because wasn't fun anymore. And then I was working for the OM for a few years there, and I'd been clearing out a bedroom probably for one of my three kids, and three is not the magic number, but they're hard work, but they're good fun. And I found an old map, and yeah, about 2009, I'd drawn a mountain bike route around Windermere because I was organising a triathlon, and I was mountain bike racing, and I wanted my own race.
Mm.
Too many gates, too many styles. Bend it. Found it. That's an ultra. Light bulb. That's an ultra. And yeah, basically, long story short, got the SI entries gateway open, got an entry the first day. That was pretty much this week, 2019. And it was a September, we aimed for a September event. I think we had 130 runners, 133 runners in that first one.
It's good, isn't it?
And I told so many lies. Like, you have to, to get something started, you have to make a lot of stuff up.
Yeah.
And, about the route being like really well waymarked. I think we had 60 arrows that we'd cut out. It was full on Blue Peter arrows. Like, I mean, I just had 400 of them delivered yesterday and spent the morning drilling holes in them for my zip ties, which are all quick release. And we use the same zip ties every year.
Yeah, good.
And there are thousands of them now. Have them all in the back of the van because my crew was out with the girls that marked the route out the other night, and they all brought their kit, and it's like, right, let's sort out all these, and there are literally thousands of them.
Wow.
So yeah, it just took off straight away. So, and then I think COVID did it for us because when everybody cancelled, I have a bad habit of not doing what everybody else does. Whenever I saw everybody canceling, I thought, I'm not going to cancel. And I emailed everybody and thought, look, your money's better off in my account because you're only going to spend it on Amazon. And we aimed for that September, and we got it. We got that September sweet spot between the lockups, and we pulled it off.
Wow.
And I kind of devised, because of being at the charity, I was pretty good at risk assessing and all that. And that's just making up stuff like. And just think about it, put it down, and the very fact you've thought about it covers it. And it was wee things like a shot of peanuts. So we didn't have people rummaging in peanuts. You had distancing. We used little paper ramekins. It was a shot glass of peanuts was the idea that did it. I had Cumbria County Council and flipping village halls and everybody asking if they could copy the risk assessment. So they all give me the thumbs up to do it. And we pulled it off. And I'm pretty sure that was the only race, the only proper ultra that happened that year. And my mate Ben Garish, he's a mountain bike filmmaker. He made a 2-minute film, not even, but a 2-minute film on it. And that was it. It sold out every year since then. And because I didn't know if we would do it, so I launched the May version for 2021. I thought, right, it's definitely, I've been toying with the idea of clockwise, anti-clockwise, year about in September. But I didn't want to change my date because I think as an event, your date is all you have. And I didn't want people to have to wait a whole year to do another event. So I thought we'll do the May one. We'll launch that independently. And then we'll put people from September into May if we have to defer them.
Yeah.
And May went. I only opened up 200 places, sold out. That race is sold out, whatever number I put on it since. And I've got my sweet spot. I know how many refunds, I know how many deferrals, and I know how many bad excuses I'm going to get. So I oversell to that and then just let it drop back. So I oversell, close it, dead, gone, not getting in. And let it drop back to my sweet spot. I think I've got 1,000 runners in the start list is what I've always wanted. And I have a good relationship around the route. I think more than that, I could do it. I think it just annoy people. And it's a lot of single track. So it's not fire breaks. It's not towpaths. It's quite single tracky, and it'll trash the place a bit much if I put more feet on it. I mean, we had a really wet one last September, and a few of the trails, the landowners aren't touching them at the minute because the national park might put the West Windermere Way up through it, and they're just like, well, no point us keeping an eye on it if they're just going to roll through and gravel the whole thing. So they're a bit broken and a bit gnarly, and it got quite badly mudded out, and so did our paddock. We had to tow everybody off the paddock, but I had Bay Search and Rescue as a charity partner, and they just zipped everybody out. So
Mm.
it was really slick watching them work. Nobody was stuck for any more than like 10 minutes. And they were just the field did turn to soup, but they had like a caterpillar track thing zipping them out. It was brilliant, and that's there again this year. And actually we're putting a roadway in now. We've been speaking to the landowners, and they're really keen now. They're really
Mm.
up for it, doing a lot for us. There's a few new things happening over there right now, which is amazing. So yeah, just started selling out, and every one of those May events has sold out since, and sold out quicker than the year before. And we're now down to 36 hours is the quickest.
Wow.
Hopefully it continues.
Yeah.
I'm a man of a certain generation. I want a Springsteen sellout. I want 36 seconds. Well, we'll see what happens. It's not asking much, is it? Touch wood on that. But no, it's going well. It's going well. And I've worked on more races than, man, I've worked on a lot of events. So I know what food is generally put out there. I don't, this is going to sound bad, and this might get me a bit of snipping. I don't suffer volunteers. I pay my crew. And the reason for that is when I was at the charity, we started doing that because I wanted to upscale the quality of the events I was putting on. And you can't do that, I don't think, with a volunteer, because you're looking after them and you're looking after your customers, if you like. And I can't do that. And most race organizers, they're running around like chickens, worrying about the volunteers. Are they doing it right? Are they even there? I don't have that. And we started paying back then. It was expenses more than anything. Changed the mindset. People felt better looked after, fundraising went up. And I've followed that through since. And it's, of course, a big bill because a lot of people, but yeah, it makes a big. I think it makes a big difference. Changes the dynamic of on the feed stations, especially if the weather's bad. I don't have to worry about the crew leaving if the weather's bad. If you're not, if you don't live around that lake, if you're not in Cumbria, or you don't come recommended by someone on the crew, you don't get in. Get a lot of people asking to get in, and there is a waiting list to get in, but I discriminate heavily in favor of Cumbrians on that one, because they've seen the weather, they don't care. They're just going to stand in it and smile. And that changes people's mindset when the rain gets in. Doesn't matter how happy a YouTuber you are when you start in the rain, it gets into everybody. Just seeing them crash and burn, like, just the weather gets in, and just don't let it. It's only the rain. I mean, I'm Northern Irish, seen it before. And nearly all of our runners are English. You've got a lot of big Scottish contingent, but your UK, you've seen the rain, like.
Yeah, yeah. It's me dad used to say when I was a kid, rain's only a problem if you're made of sugar.
Brilliant.
I've,
Do you
I've
know
always-
the problem is they actually are made of sugar, because there's so much carb and so much sugar in the feed stations. So much carb. That is a problem, actually. That's a really good way of putting that.
Yeah. Right. So, I'll obviously we are gonna talk about the race more in depth, but I think you've sort of brushed over a little bit some details about you that I wanted to go into.
Okay.
So, obviously, you mentioned, so as part of your sort of origin story, you sort of glazed over the fact that you were diagnosed with MS. So, if are you happy to talk about that and
Yeah.
how you because I know that you've coped with that in a way that I think is absolutely amazing, because we've had a conversation about this before, and I think it's worth talking about. So how did that happen? What how has your life changed, and what have you done about it?
I was hiding an issue with my running and my cycling, because, like, I was early 30s, and I was racing, and I was having to train harder than my mates to be just a bit better than them, a lot harder to be not much better. And I was out running one day, and my left leg just vanished. Hip down, gone. Wasn't numb, wasn't pins and needles, gone. I just hit the deck. I hadn't really long left home. And I got myself back, and I was like, right, what's going on here? And my best mate in the world he's currently head performance coach for Ireland Rugby. And he was at the time, I think he was head physio for Team GB. Would it have been Rio? Maybe, I can't remember. And I phoned him and I just said, "Here," I texted him and said, "Here, can't feel my leg. What do you reckon?" And he's like, "Well, have you jolted your back or anything?" And I goes, "Well, I was breeding horses and stuff at the time." And another random one, me. But he said, "Yeah, I thought one of my horses tried to walk over me yesterday and kind of, yeah." But he's like, "Are you in screaming agony?" And I goes, "Nah, just can't feel it." And he's like, "Get into an MRI scanner. Whatever you have to do, get into an MRI scanner." He thought I had a brain tumor and was on my way out. And yeah, they just found it, MS. And like most people, didn't have a clue, not a clue. And that kind of progressed for a couple of years trying to figure it out. And then it started to really accelerate. And I got on to the meds that I'm on at the minute. And I get 2 injections back of each arm every 4 weeks, MRI scans every 2 months. And yeah, and from an initial crash and burn, I kind of leveled out on the meds. And I thought, well, you've leveled out, so surely you can maybe upscale it a bit. And I just experimented with exercise, with diet, with fasting, with all sorts of stuff. And I've kind of found a sweet spot on diet and fasting that really works for me. I kind of was sleepwalking for a while, fasting. First 3-day fast I did, got that gone. Just woke up. And actually, the lap was probably a result of that first fast because I found the map shortly after that. And I was thinking again. I was inspired again. I was, right, let's make stuff happen. Let's see what we can do. And yeah, I just started to think differently. Where before it was like a bit sleepwalking, didn't really care. But yeah, that was in 2010. I got diagnosed. And yeah, I kind of walk still like I've maybe had a dram, or shot in the arse is probably the best way to describe it. And the longer I go, like, especially on race weekend, I fast for 4 days in, so there's nothing can be in my system that makes me ill because I need to work hard that weekend. So I fast 4 days solidly, nothing but water, black coffee. Then once we're in and we've got the crew working, I may snack, I might not, I might just carry it on through. But I don't have any dip in energy with fasting at all. So yeah, I just work. It's just a nice safeguard into the race. I know I'm going to be doing the race briefing, so it gets me there, make sure everything's dialed in. And yeah, just I get a bit heavy legged and a bit knackered, and I'm not walking great. Probably at the same rate as most of the runners. So when it's about 11 o'clock at night to 3 in the morning, I'm walking the same way most people are crossing the finishing line. So it's kind of good. It all works. So it's just one of those. But yeah, that was a funny one. But it just some of the stuff I do now with my fasting and my diet, I'm pretty on it, and I'm walking quite well. So yeah, it kind of works. So I'll keep rolling with it.
Yeah. So as part of your diet, then, what have you sort of eliminated or sort of brought in? This is the thing I want to get to.
All right. This is a scary one for me talking about this here and now. So I tried everything. I tried plant-based for a while. The wheels fell off, right? Big time. That wheelchair was starting to roll back towards me because I spent a wee bit of time in one. I don't want to go back to that. And then I thought, right, let's flip that. So I went keto. Instantly better. Keto with fasting, crazy good. So fat and protein, and then fasting, so extended periods with nothing. Crazy good. I'm carnivore at the minute, and yeah, a lot of vegan runners are going to be throwing stones at me, but it works for me. It works. And yeah, I'm just all the energy I need to do anything non-stop. At the end of every day, I'm knackered, but that's just the way it is, isn't it? So yeah, it's just, and it was fairly aggressive disease. Steals things away from you without you knowing. And I have a lot of good friends that have it, and watching them slip. And the fasting, I think, is the biggest one, though. Getting rid of sugar. Getting rid of sugar. everything bad feeds on sugar. If you get rid of sugar, or starves,
Mm.
don't have anything to go for. Feeds on stress as well.
Mm.
Stress is a big impact. And organizing events, that's
Mhm.
like juggling cats. It's like, and you just got to keep juggling until it's like go time. And then, right, well, we're in now, we got to go. So, but that's my stress. And the big stress for me is I want to make it work. I want the lap to be one of the best races to do in the country.
Mm.
So, we try hard for that. We try for the food to be the best, the crew to be the best, the waymarking to be like nothing else. So, and the weather, I don't really care what the weather does because
Yeah.
we've May 2021, we had a blizzard. The three following May races all nearly touched 30 degrees.
Wow.
So September with torrential rain, nobody cared. None of the crew cared. So, and we've everything dialed in. We've a great medical team that have worked with us for years. Same crew, a couple of ambulances rolling around, a few go fast response vehicles. We tried really to be on it with the medical side of things too. So, it's, and you know what ultra runners are like. They turn up injured. They turn up with having not read the emails. Turn up with the wrong kit. So you got to look after them. And the thing with the waymarking for me is we get a lot of first timers, first time ultra runners, first time trail runners,
Mm.
straight off the road, straight into the lap. So we kind of got to look after them a bit. And it took a while to get that. It's like, what are these? Started off, what are these guys doing? What are they thinking? It's actually, they didn't know. I grew up in the hills,
Mm.
trail running, mountain running. We didn't know we were trail running. We were just running on trails, doing races back in the day, like the Kim, now the the Three Peaks, stuff like
Mm.
that. But that's all there really was. That was just running and the trails because you were hiking, you were climbing, so you just go for a run. They're the trails you used. Moved to the lakes, fell running. That's still, I mean, MS diagnosis, that was my running gone. I don't have a left leg that's any use, so I can't run. And I tried for a long time. Knocked my pan in trying. Didn't do myself any favors, just wrecked myself. But yeah, just one of those. We get so many first timers coming through that we just got to look after them. And that's one of the things with the way marking and working for the OM. A lot of people, navigation freaks people out.
Mm.
People are scared of it. And you get there's a lot of arrogance around navigation that puts people off.
Mm.
And I just think, well, there's got to be a gateway to allow people up to that 50 miler without having to navigate.
Mm.
And you don't like, I got this. I've been upgrading the website today, and I've been trying to get a thing over to one of my designers this morning. I've not managed. There's too many things have got in the way. That map, it's a souvenir. It's like it's 1 to 50, but it's a souvenir. And actually, what I'm deciding to do, I think I'm going to change it. I've got a 1 to 70 prototype. It all fits on the A4, and it is a souvenir because people are grabbing another one off me, and one's that way and one's that way, and it's all right. It looks cool in the frame and the metal and all that. But if I did it on the one page, it'd be better for people. So, and you can still nav off it. The details are all still there. So my 51-year-old eyes can still pick it all out. So we're all good. Like, so I'm going to do that. But you don't need it. GPX, you don't need it. Recce, don't need to. So we get a bit of sabotage. There's really weird sabotage. Signs come back, which is a new one. And there's only a couple of spots we get it, and the signs will disappear. We'll find them maybe. I have a couple of locals around the route that walk in those areas, and I get the phone call, Davy, I'll pop down next week. I've got 30 of your signs, found them under a hedge. It's just one of those. But we get signs moved, and then we get signs put back, and sometimes in the wrong place. But like I've had the National Trust ring me, said, Davy, can you take your lap signs down from along the lake? And I goes, what do you mean they're gone? And they're like, well, from Ferry Landing to Joey's Cafe, they're still there. I goes, that's not the route. There was never any signs put there. It says I'll go over right now and grab them, but I don't get it. I don't know. So that's a weird one. But I guess that's how do you make a race look bad? Stick
Yeah.
kind of their signs out so they're not taking them down. And I have 4 girls that put the signs out, and the same ones take the signs in. And they know that route inside out. They know where they put the signs. And even if one does get missed, we'll see it on socials, we'll see it in the group, we'll just go out and grab it.
Mm.
So, but it's like, I don't like them being left out there, because outside of race weekend, they are litter. So I hate them being left.
Mm.
So we're on it to pull them in. So
Is that sort of disgruntled locals then, do you think, that are
hard
doing?
to know. We get Brantfell's a bad one, and I'm not really sure what it is over there, because Brantfell and Matson Ground, the estate that owns it, they're lovely. They couldn't be nicer.
Mm.
The gamekeeper will grab a quad if the weather's bad. He'll rock out in the quad and he'll drive route markers around in the back of the quad to speed them up. So, it's like good relationship there. Ambleside, wee bit missing there. We used to have a problem, Loughrig, around Loughrig Tarn, but that stopped, interestingly. But yeah, again, they were turning back up a few days later. They were gone for the race, but then they popped back out. So it's
Mm.
weird. So I don't know.
So it's somebody with a bit of a conscience, then, isn't it? The fact that they've taken them and then brought them back so that you can
Yeah,
collect them.
just strange. It's a weird one. But yeah, I don't know. This, what it's like.
Yeah.
So especially if you get weather like this around Ambleside, around Loughrig, and around Wansfeld, a lot of people. But I've got a couple of route checkers check them in the morning, and then we go back out. We put a limited number of signs out through a few areas, and we've got a bag ready to go and redo them again. So we'll put them out, expecting them to go, and then once we know they're gone, we'll put them back out again, and that works. So
Is that something that you've just learned over the years of running the race, that that's going to happen? So
yeah, know it's going to happen, and it's like, I've access to trail cameras and all sorts, but I thought we could figure out who it is. But I don't care. It's not going to make any difference. You confront somebody, you're going to antagonize them
yeah,
more, and then they're
make
going
it
to try and
worse.
do more. So just leave them to it. So leave them to it, and we'll fix it.
Mm.
One of those.
Yeah,
But I think there's enough people wrecking, there's enough people out there, and the front runners, the fast crew, there's a lot of fast locals that know it inside out now.
yeah.
And it's pretty evident where the route goes. So it's
Mm.
it makes sense. It flows. That's one thing I love about it. That's what would have been a brilliant mountain bike route, only too many
Mm.
gates and styles. So, but no, it's perfect. It works really well for what it is.
Mm. So do you think that all of these things that you do, like paying the crew, and putting really good food on and stuff, do you think this is the reason why the race has been so successful over the years then?
Yeah, totally. The route is gorgeous. The route is a stunner. Um, but the add-on is like the pizzas. The invoice is in my inbox behind you right now. The invoice is in my inbox. Now, Karen Rhodes Wedding and Events Catering. There's a plug for them. Won't get me a discount. I know Charlotte too well. Um, it's a wedding catering company. They've got a pizza van, 2 ovens, so you can cope with a lot of people coming through. So I work it out as 2 slices per runner. Some will take more, some won't take any, so it kind of balances out. And it's balanced out every time since I tried it the first year. And those pizzas are expensive, man. They are the most expensive pizzas in the world. But you know what? The social feed off the back of those
Mm.
pizzas, and actually word of mouth is still better than Google. So they have their own life on social media almost, because they are fresh pizzas out of a pizza oven, and it's one pepperoni, full fat, full proper pepperoni, wheat in the bread, and then there's a vegan, gluten-free margarita. So it's like, and that's it. That's only two. So, and it's 50-50 of them, they throw them out. And most people don't know. I say it on the start line, not that anybody listens. But yeah, it's the entire menu started. The idea was, well, if we start the menu vegan, gluten free, everybody can eat it, and then we'll bolt on, so everybody has an option. I've not had a keto or a carnivore runner yet, but I'm waiting on it. They are going to get the menu. Yeah, That's gonna be good. I'm gonna go to town on that one. So shout out when you're ready to go, whoever you are out there, because there'll
Yeah,
be somebody.
yeah.
So
There
yeah,
are there are a few out there. Mm.
yeah. But no, the food, again, having worked in so many races, from jam sandwiches and bananas through to the normal boxed pizza that as soon as it hits the plate, curls up like that. So, you know, I thought, if I'm going to do pizza, I'm going to do pizza. Because like new kid on the block. I've been organizing events for years, but new kid, new race, 2019. What are we going to do? We have to be as good as we can be, as good as we can afford to be. If the lap needs it, the lap gets it. You know, it's like it, and just because it's not happened yet doesn't mean it's not in the pipeline. We either can't afford it or we run out of time. That's kind of how it goes. So, you know, my partner's like, you've had all winter that your lockup. What were you doing? You were just drinking coffee in the bike shop next door, weren't you? I was like, well, yeah, there's a lot of that. But, you know, sorting signs out, sorting kit out, coming up with map ideas, it's just non-stop. It's big. And the amount of emails now with the number of runners we have on the 2 races, it's non-stop. Like yeah, I thought I was creating a business, but I just created a job for myself. But I'm happier that way around. I think it's good because I try and do everything for the race and then pay the crew. So, and it works. It works that way. And I just think, yeah, upscaling the crew, upscaling the route, better food, because everybody's kind of going. Most races are doing the same thing, keeping it simple, keeping it low key. That's all right, but I don't want to do that. It's the same with my expos. I wanted a really nice hotel, a really well laid out expo. You know, I get accused of being a peacock swanning around Race HQ with a tailored shirt on, my hair done. Like, you know, why not? You know, I go to a conference, I get evils as soon as I turn up because same thing. Everybody else is in tracksuits. Like, I thought we were at a conference, didn't realize we were going for a run. And it's just why not? It's just a nice wee wind up for people. I enjoy doing it. So
That's amazing. So
the crew enjoy winding me up and giving me a hard time. Just, oh look, there's Davy just out of hair and makeup for the first runners crossing the line. So
so all of these things, you know, make the race unique, don't they? So what's the thing with the course record and what you've got in place with that? Because that's a bit different, isn't it? The way that you do that.
well, we had it. We had the course record sub 7 hours, but we had to then after that immediately the following race we had to change start finish location because Lakeside YMCA where we were has been sold. That's been sold to a developer. So I thought I'm out of here. I actually always wanted to work at Braithwaite. We wanted to do it over there, and it's wee narrow twisty roads, but it's only 5 miles off a dual carriageway to get from Newby Bridge. It's not even 5 miles, and there's a white line up the middle of the road. The dry stone walls are not as close as you think they are. You know? And, you know, it's one of those. And I put in a one-way system around there and it just makes it easy because and people, I get a hard time for that. There's a bit of chatter in the background. Why do you do that? It's just like, well, people can't reverse. Number one, simple. People can't reverse. So it just causes a bottleneck of traffic and slows everything down. And now that I've got there's a change to the camping, what we're doing at HQ, we can just get in the car park and just drive. We don't have to stop, don't have any questions, because it's like somebody stops when they're going in, asks the guy on the gateway a question, who's the gate guy at 4 o'clock in the morning. I give him a bit of detail, but I basically say, don't answer any questions, get them in the paddock, and it'll speed it up. So, but it's just narrow roads, but it's the lakes.
Yeah, it's expected.
The worst things. So, yeah. I don't know. So I forgot the question now. That happens. I talk too much. I'll blame the MS. You can blame MS for that.
The course record and everything and what you do
Yes.
with that.
If I go off on tangents, just stop me.
Don't worry, it's fine.
Yeah. No, course record. We just had to change it because of that. So it's different. The route's the same length, 47 miles, not 50. Could have done 50. Don't want to do 50. Everybody else would have done 50. You see people running around the car park, and it's like life is too short. But you know, it's 47 miles because 47 miles flows. If I was to cobble an extra bit on, yeah, you could. I could go around the big paddocks at the start and do a big loop around the paddock. Don't wanna. I wouldn't wanna in a race. You know, back in the day, you want to get into it. So when I was racing, not that my kids believe any of that. That's really interesting. Like world first, Guinness records. Nah, daddy, don't believe you. So sorry. Okay, gone. So, yeah, but no, it's good. We've Kirby Lonsdale Brewery sponsoring that this year. They've got a nice wee race there running out of there as well at the minute. So that's quite cool. They're running the bar as well at HQ. So yeah, see what happens. They're putting a bit of money behind that, and we're going to rotate. It used to be up until this year, I had 200 quid, first male, first female. And I'd increase that by 75. I was going to increase it by £1 a mile every year, but I thought 47's tight. So we'll do it by Ks. We'll go European on it. We'll do 75, but they're going to roll it over and roll it over. So 250, 250, and then that'll roll over by 250. So if it doesn't go 500, if it doesn't go, it'll increase quick. So let's see what that does. I don't like prize money for the actual race, because that just gets dirty. Somebody's always going to try and do something. We did that the first year and it caused problems. So I backed away from it straight away. And everything I do is kind of runner led as well. So if we get a problem because runners are not getting something or expecting something, we change it based on that. So it's just one of those. It's like I used to do waiting lists. No interest, didn't work. Straight out of COVID, if you haven't emailed somebody on a waiting list within a week, they're emailing you, and it just blows the inbox to pieces. And then, because the places come available 4 weeks out from the race, but the race is full and people want to go on the waiting list a year in advance, but 2 weeks in, they're emailing. 3 weeks in, they're emailing. And it doesn't work like that. The places become available the month and a half, maybe, max, on the way in. And I just thought, forget about that, oversell, done. That's runner led, because waiting list didn't work. There's runners on the waiting list, runners I was dealing with. The time you phoned somebody, they'd found another race. 4 weeks without getting on, they go do something else. So massive waste of time, massive waste of energy and resources. Just get rid, try something different, oversell, let it drop back. Shouldn't say that. That's a really good secret.
Giving away all your trade secrets here.
I try not to, but that's the trouble. When you get me talking, it keeps going, doesn't it?
Well, if anyone's thinking of organising an ultra, then they wouldn't do too far wrong with it to sort of copy your model of the way you've done it, because it's you've. Do you think also? I know that you're quite active on social media, aren't you, with the lap? So do you think that has helped with your sort of strategy with that?
I think people really underestimate social media. Now, word of mouth in ultra running is the one. If you do something wrong, everybody's going to know. If you do something well, quite a lot of people are going to know. More people, I've worked in retail a long time. Here's a good one for you. You know the old adage, like one unhappy customer will tell 10 people. Yeah, my take on that, which was never popular, was always, yeah, 2 of those people are exactly like him and you don't want them as customers anyway, and the rest really don't care and they don't listen to them. So, it's just one of those. But so good news will only go so far, bad news will go further, but there's no such thing as bad PR. So, but yeah, it all works. The social posts, I try and post every single day. So I've got a couple of photographers out in the route, and we've walked the route. We go out for lunch. We go and talk about it. We think about it. Where will we position it? How do we want to do it? Do you need e-bikes this year? Are we ready for e-bikes and steady cams? Like, can we do a UTMB on this? We're thinking of doing that first year. It's like 130 runners. Who's watching? Nobody. Wise up. But you want to be big time. So you have the big time ideas. People are asking me if I want to do it now. I don't know. I don't know. Is anybody watching it? I do watch UTMB. There you go. I've history with UTMB, long time history on that. So I think steady cam on e-bikes looks class.
Well, there's a little bit of like, if you build it, they will come kind of thing with that in there. That if you put it out there, people will decide whether they watch it or not. But more than likely, people will be interested. If people know that there's like a live stream of a race,
yeah,
even if they're not that invested in it or bothered about it, they may even just dip in just to have a look and just be curious and see what it's like. But I think you'd be surprised at how many people, because that's the thing that I think that, I've got my personal thoughts on this as well, that there should be more live streamed races in this country, because, you go to the US and, every big ultra out there is, that people know about is live streamed, and people go absolutely mad for it. They'll sit and they'll watch, like this weekend, Cocodona 250 is happening, and that's got a live stream for basically a week, and people will like literally just like have it on in the background while they're doing jobs and stuff, or they're at work, and they'll dip into it and see what's going on. But when you've got a race happening over a weekend, like Western States, when that happens, people are literally just got their laptops open for the whole 30 hours that race is on, and they're sort of just checking on, got a friend doing it, or they're seeing how people are doing at the front and stuff. So yeah, I think there's definitely whether UK runners are hungry for it as much as US runners, I don't know, but you don't know until you try, do you?
No, no, no. That's it. And I've got. I might do it. I might not do. Obviously, not going to do it next weekend, but September I could probably pull it off. I'll have a look at it, like. So I'll
Mm.
have a look and see if I can afford it to start with, like. But I've got the people for it. I've got mountain bike filmmakers,
Mm.
and we can get the kit and get the e-bikes. So yeah, I reckon it. Even if the weather's right and it's not windy, fly drones around the place. All sorts of there's loads of stuff you could do.
Yeah.
So it'd be worth trying it just to see if it works.
You would. Yeah, yeah, definitely, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so new for this year as well is me coming to do a bit of podcasting for you. So, and I know that you're not really you're not really into podcasts, are you?
Well,
You're not a big consumer of them.
it's not even that. It's funny because with the weeks after a lap, I sit down and watch all the YouTubers.
Mm.
And YouTubers are terrifying, man. It is terrifying because it's out there in the real world, then, isn't it? So you watch it, and I watch it to see, right, what's liked, what's not liked.
Mm.
The rain, bit of mud. I love that. Back in the day when I was fell running, like you trained in bad weather.
Mm.
And then when bad weather happened, you didn't care and you rocketed up the leaderboards. Like, but it's just, and it's the lakes. It's just, well, it's just one of those, isn't it? It's not raining in the lakes. Well, actually, in 10 laps, we only had two wet ones. One of them had snowed. The rest of them have all been warm. And this period of warm weather looks like it's toning down slightly, but it doesn't look like it's going to be wet. The car park and paddocks like concrete.
Yeah, I
It
bet they are. Yeah.
lashed it down every day between now and then. The grass is just going to drink every bit of it. So I love it when that happens. So, and again, I've got a horsey background, so grass paddocks, I get a feel for it. I'll deliberately I'll take me a state car and drive around the paddock, and then I'll drive around it in the van and just to see. So if I get stuck, I'll just tow me, stick my jackets under my wheels, take it out like.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's an interesting one. But I don't think it'll be scorchio, but I do think we are. I don't think it's going to rain. I think it's
Mm.
going to be. I think it's going to be warm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's gonna be dry, isn't it? I think more or
Yeah, it's going to be dry. The problem I have is I keep thinking I don't know how to change it on the website. I have like in the kit list minimum water carrying capability of 1 liter.
less.
People's mindset goes 1 liter, and it's not enough. It's not enough. Unless you're a racing snake and you're aiming for that sub 7, not enough.
Mm.
So it's like you can't carry enough. And then the just again, it's ultra runners not wanting to carry kit, but carrying kit is part of ultra running. It's the way it
Mm.
is. If you don't want to carry kit, well,
You're in the wrong sport.
you're in the wrong sport. Yeah, there's always golf. You can get a little cart. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are many things that I find amusing about the whole ultra running thing. So it's really funny. I love rattling them. I do enjoy the 47 miles. I do enjoy that. Not having we could have made it 50 straight out, and there was myself on it. I had a partner in it back then, but it terrified him. He was having the 3 o'clock in the morning palpitations on the way into a race, and he wasn't enjoying it. I
Mm.
have them as well. And I think you'd be mad if you didn't have them. You're putting 1,000 people running off road, 47 miles around the Lake District. That's a lot.
Mm. Mm.
Um, and anything can happen. But I enjoy it. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy putting people out of their comfort zone. I really enjoy. I used to race, so I really want to be true to the front end of the pack. I really want to be true to racing,
Mm.
but two-sided. The fact that I can still hike and I'm relatively quick with a set of poles, and And my charity days, I loved ruined people crossing finishing lines ready to knock me out. And within 5 minutes, the endorphins would change it, and they'd be hugging me to death and wanting to buy me beer all night. I got a kick out of, I don't know, putting something out there, seeing people do something they never thought they could. So I really enjoy. That's why we work really hard to make sure the last person into each feed station has exactly the same choice as the first. That's really important. Looking after the walkers, inviting the walkers. I am one of them. That's the thing. We look after you. I'm out all night. I pay someone to manage the finish line after the first couple are through, and I have a cutoff in Troutback, which is kind of, it's halfway. It used to actually be halfway when we were at Lakeside. It's not actually halfway anymore, but it's exactly halfway in elevation. That's probably the best way to look at a lap. In May, you've got Loughrig and Wansfell, but they're in the first half. People think the big hills are over, and the big hills are over. The rest of us like a hard. The rest of us like there's a few nasty surprises in there, and I love that. I love them. So yeah.
What's the as far as like so you were saying about the 1 litre minimum requirement for fluids and stuff. How
Yeah.
far between checkpoints is it for people sort of planning that kind of
Yeah,
stuff?
just over 8 miles is the most, but there's a couple of areas in there that water's light on the ground and you're going to be warm, and that quite a lot of the western shore of the lake people haven't been, but actually the eastern shore from Gummers to Windermere, most people don't know what's in there. Nobody goes there. It's not on the tourist radar at all. So that whole linked up trail just is barely used outside. The only people using it are people doing recce's.
Mm.
So there's never anybody there. So it's a funny one. So I really have to dial in tight with the farmers along there as well. So I knock every door. I did that last week. I go around, do a letter drop. If they're not in to get a letter, give me a call. And keeping them right because they're not used to people coming through and in big groups. The guy put them through. They're all cool about it because leaving gates open is the only thing. Nah, it's hard to fix that. And then it'd be the one random person who does happen to be over there that day who's not on the race left the gate open, but I have to take it because I brought loads of people.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those. Yeah.
Are they, when you sort of, I remember you saying last week about you going around and knocking on doors and just sort of letting people know. Do people know that you come in this time of year? Then is the people that are there that never change, never move, and they're expecting you to come around, and does it get easier every year, the fact that you don't have to keep telling people that it's happening, or is it something?
Nah, I'd rather do it. I put a letter through every single door on that route, regardless. So it's the same route. I was doing it May and September, but I'm only doing it once. So I do it now, and both dates are on there. If it happens to be a holiday cottage, it's hard to tell sometimes. If it's a holiday cottage, well, it's through the door anyway, and then it doesn't matter. Whoever's in it's probably doing the lap anyway, so who cares? But all the rest of the houses, they all know me now. Especially we run through a bit of an estate in Windermere, and I've only had one person said they didn't like going through it. And I love it. I'm a council estate lad. I would have loved that back in the day. And I have stickers on all the lampposts. My little arrow stickers they're there right now. They've never been touched. And the signs were never really touched in there when we put those on. But I did put the stickers on. And I put the stickers on because of me as a kid. I would have turned them. I would have loved watching the runners running around in circles. I'd have done it. So I can't complain about people moving signs. I would have done it as a kid.
Yeah.
Nothing gets touched in there. There's impromptu water stations get set up in there and everything. So it's like anybody that answered the door the other day, oh, you're back, Ryan. Oh, brilliant. Can't wait. Kids love it. It's like, that's class. I love that. So, and I just, and there's a reason the one person actually said they didn't like it. And I kind of know them, and they're a copper. And I reckon he'd had his ass handed to him in there before. So that's probably why. So that's why he didn't like run through. It's Windermere. It's not exactly rough, like. So it's just a housing estate. It's lovely, and it just short section down past Booths, off Forest Head, past Booths, through the roads, just following the lampposts. The signs are all on the lampposts. And then you pop out into the country again, past a couple of cottages that are drowning in flowers. Stunning. It's gorgeous. And then you're off up to like Brantfell. It just gets nicer and nicer the further you go. So, and then Gummers. Love Gummers. Love Gummers in May. Gummers How. Little Gummers. My kids play on it, like, but it people love it and hate it because it's just positioned right where you really don't need it. And it's the same with Latabara the other way around. It's kind of that last Davy knife in the ribs. Just when you really didn't need something like that, Davy throws it in. So it's kind of good. Amazing. Cheeky. It is a cheeky route. It's a spicy route, and I never say how hard it is, especially on social. I never say how hard it is. That's a big blocker for people. Keywords like brutal. The worst thing in ultra running. It is the worst thing in ultra running. Yeah, I know there's a couple, I think, but that is the worst one. Because it's such a pointless term. It's the race you chose to enter that you probably didn't train hard enough for. Simple. Yeah. It's not. And it kills a demographic. It does kill a demographic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Massively. Yeah. And it's evident on the lap what happens when you don't use it. I don't have 50-50. The only way to get 50-50 is do a ballot and hedge it. But, we have definitely really into the high 30s and into the 40% easily. And to be honest, I think that's really good for a race that doesn't have a ballot. And that one word kills that demographic.
It's good. It's a really good point because obviously I know the race that you're talking about. Obviously, Britain's most brutal race, the spine race, which I'm obviously involved.
Mine's Britain's most beautiful, exactly because of that. Somebody says biblical, I'll say heavenly, and I just do it on purpose. I do it for the laugh, like we're the race that eats his pizza instead of the race that eats his young.
That's it, yeah. Well, I know that I know that sort of terminology does put people off because it put me off for years, for doing spine races and stuff. And then when you actually do one or get involved with a race, you realise that it's no worse than any other race that you would do in the Peak District or in North York Moors, Northumberland. It's all the same terrain, and just attaching that word to it puts people off. But that's they've built a reputation around that, and that's their thing, and it works really well for the race. But yeah, I think the way that you sort of position the lap is that it is a hard race, but it's not tricking people, but it's kind of getting people to do stuff that they don't think that they could do. But then when they've done it, they're like, it was hard, but I've done it.
I've done it. Yeah. You can walk it like 3 miles an hour. Don't stay too long at the feed stations. No problem. 47 miles. You get 24 hours. That's why we get so many walkers. So, and because I'm out at the feed stations all night, I love it. I love winding people up at the feed stations at 3 o'clock in the morning. Love it. But then I've been doing it for events for so long. I can spot people that are there that are maybe not just right, that maybe you need to just sit down for 2 minutes. Here's a bit of salt. I've asked, got friends to put salt in their mate's mouth. Just put this salt in his mouth. Watch what happens. Somebody that's just sitting glazed, they're back in the room because you can spot it. Like I try and tell my crew, but if you're not, they're busy. If you're not into it, you don't see it. But like people, you can see the white, all that salt in your vest, all that salt in your shirt. It's meant to be in your body. And you're starting to get addled and you're really dehydrated and you're starting to get heat stroke and all. It's all creeping up on you. It all sneaks up just by not letting the drinking drift, just that wee bit, letting the food just drift. It all catches up. And that's a real telltale. And when they're walking in at 3 a.m. and I'm at Finsthwaite and I can just see them. And I can tell my crew, just get that guy, get some salt. And, if he wants a cup of tea, put some salt in it. It'll be stinking, but it'll go down. And it might make him sick, which will actually do him a favor because he's looking a bit grey, And it's bonkers. And, so I'll even have my paramedics. See that guy over there? Yeah, he's glazed looking at the ground. He's going to fall off that seat any second. And even the paramedics will be like, how would you know that? And I just watch and start running because he's just tipping now. I've been doing it forever, you know. London Marathon with guide dogs for the blind. I was there at the finish line every year,
Mm.
spotting them, sorting them out. So it's like you see people and do you need to be sick? No, no, no. You do. Go and be sick. I don't want to be. I says, trust me, you will not believe how good you feel when you lose it. So, you know, yeah, and I think the race organizer doing that's a bit mad, but especially, you know, that I can't stay around the finish too long. I'd rather be out keeping an eye on it,
In
fixing
the thick
problems.
of it, yeah.
Because there's always stuff happens. You can't, nothing's ever perfect
Mm.
in organizing events. Like, you just gotta, like I say, you just gotta keep juggling and spotting it coming and fixing it before it happens, or being there when it's about to happen. So there's always problems coming. Like,
Mm.
so I have a tree at the minute that I haven't been able, me and the crew haven't been able to get in to move. And you can get under it and you can get over. There's two limbs down. You get under and over just outside Ambleside. And it's kind of Ambleside. It should have been moved, but it
Mm.
hasn't been. And I've two guys with chainsaw tickets on my crew, and they just go in and do it. We just cut a shoulder width gap in it. So forestry know we do it. They know we don't take the wood. That's a big problem. If they think you're going to take the timber, they're not happy. We've done it in conjunction with National Trust before, a couple of different private landowners. We rebuild dry stone walls without being asked. We just, a couple of my lads are wallers. You just go in and wall.
Mm.
This one, it may not be there on race day. So electric e-chainsaws are quiet.
Mm.
So we may be able to sneak in and take it out. If not, it's far enough in that you can do it. So if people go under the first bit and over the second bit, that's the trick on this one.
Mm.
So if we can't get it moved, well, I think we might. So
Amazing. That's awesome. So what's the sort of plan for the future then for the race? Have you got sort of like a plan going forward of where I know you've obviously talked about live streaming. I'm coming to do a bit of podcasting and stuff, which is new for this year. What's your sort of, have you got like an end game of where you want the race to be, or is it just gonna just keep evolving every year?
I guess it is just gonna keep evolving because when we started, it was like, right, who are we and what are we trying to be? And it's like, Lakes in a day, worked on it for years. Lakeland 50, Lakeland 100, going for years. No Mark Lathwaite, great event. That's my target though. That's right. Lakeland 50. That's the one. Sells out like that. That's the one. That's what you got to aim for. In fact, you got to aim out the back of it. You gotta aim to. For me, it was always, and I'm not there. I don't believe I'm there. It's always I want people to do the lap and then progress on to other mainstay races that have been going maybe longer because we're not that old. 2019 is not that long ago. And be a wee bit disappointed when they've done the other one. I want the experience of the lap to be so good that they'll go and do a big ticket race that they've heard about forever and be a wee bit like, that's what I'm looking for, that reaction. So, and that's why we think about the food. We discuss it. Like I have a couple of people that we work together on. I have a really good relationship with Morrison's on that one. I'm dropping all the names today. So that works. And I give Morrison's a hard time because the pizza that's in nearly every other race is a 350 Morrison's box pizza. 3D printed, no good. And it's like mine are 15 quid each.
Yeah.
Mental. But there you go. If you want to do it right, you got to do it right. So it's just, I want it to be even just the organization, trying to make it easier and slicker for the crew, and just easy for the runners. Like get in, parking easy, registration easy, kit check easy. Now I put kit check, carrying kit, mandatory kit. I put that on the runner. Now we check that they have it, but we do it the night before, and we do it the night before because I used to organize triathlons. And a registration on the morning of a triathlon is a nightmare. Hated it. Absolutely hated it. Public speaking, everybody hates it. I hate it as much as the next guy. I can just do it. But doing that to a load of people in neoprene with silly hats on and goggles, half of them watching you, all terrified of the swim because that's the first bit and they all hate it. It's like, that's the hardest thing in the world, man. And it's like, no, do everything on the night before. Most people can't even make the start on time. even if they've done registration the night before. So it's like, you can't do it, you know. And I want a 6 o'clock in the morning start just to maximize daylight. So you're going to, if we get a nice day on the lakes, you're there to see the lakes. If you're not there to win it, you're there to have a nice time and you want to see it. And literally, we're in Beatrix Potter's back garden, you know, like far Sorry, that's the spot. Like near Sorry is Hilltop. So it is literally Beatrix Potter's back garden. And I just, yeah, I just want it to be slick and easy and registration, kit check, all of that to be easy. But yeah, so we do kit check at registration. We try and kit check everybody, but I will look at the weather, and it's not a high level race. If we were going over Helvellyn, there's weather that we've gone ahead in that you would not have been able to, and you would have to be doing your kit checks in the morning, and you would have to make sure people are right. Now, here's a good one. If anybody ends up in one of my ambulances, my paramedics are all told to check their bags. Some point, I am going to drop an invoice on somebody for my entire medical bill if they don't have it, just to make a point, because it's like you're being an idiot really for not carrying it. But I'll look, if it's going to be cold, the kit check is going to be your jacket. It is going to be the foil bag. I've no interest in foil blankets. That's for wrapping turkeys at Christmas. And if you need a foil blanket, just rip the side out of your bag. But you've got a bag and they're warmer. I've had to spend a night in one on a bivvy in the mountains in a previous mountaineer life. And they are good. They keep you alive, and that's all that matters. And you're never that far away from an extraction anyway. We've got a great relationship with all the mountain rescue teams around there. We've only had one MRT call out, and it was cooked. They were roasted, they were heat stroked, and they were looked after. I've different things in place now to even make that even easier. So, as a small event, trying to have private mountain rescue, you can't do it. You can't do it. You couldn't afford it. People, entry fee would be so high you couldn't afford it. Like, so you keep a good relationship. I know people in all of the mountain rescue teams. I donate or get them drunk, or we do, cases of beer and all sorts. Because, like, it's just, there's multiple things we do. We donate to several different charities as well, and like give when people bail out at the minute. If somebody says to me right now, "I'm just not doing it. I don't want it a fair," I shump that place over to one of the charity crew. They can do it. They can fundraise with it. Just last minute fundraisers, all sorts of stuff. So I just want it to be as slick, unstressful for people, because our registration is quick. And what happens? Everybody turns up for 7 o'clock because you can be there. And the reason is 7 to 11. You can do a day's work in Inverness and make it to registration. You can do a day's work in Surrey. You can make it back to registration. So you've got all the time in the world to get there. You kind of have to stay in the lakes if you're not from the lakes. And we're blocking the roads up. We're blocking the trails up. That's a nice thing to do. Camp, Airbnb, holiday cottage. You got to stay. Put a bit of money back into it. Go for dinner Sunday somewhere. There's a few places coming down with nice places to eat, like accommodation everywhere. The lakes is made for it. So it's just things like that put it back in. We clear the trails out, we look after, we pick up any rubbish that was there before, and we pick up anything that anybody left behind. So I just want to, just slick, keep it slick.
Yeah.
So,
it seems to have worked all these years. It seems to fast become like an iconic race, and I obviously it's going to get more and more iconic as the years roll on. So I'm looking forward to coming next week and seeing it. It's my first experience of the lap, coming to have a look. So I'm excited about interviewing a few people and getting some stuff on video and banging out a few podcasts so people can sort of get the behind the scenes kind of stuff that goes on at the race. So I'm looking forward to. So yeah, I'm sure we're going to have more chats on camera next weekend if you're not too stressed.
Nah, that's the thing though. No volunteers takes my stress levels down. I can concentrate on my runners, concentrate on any issues that arise last minute around the route. I can focus on that and just walk. So registration, I'm swanning around chatting to people. And the reason I do that, it makes the whole race start public speaking easier, because everybody hates public speaking. It's rubbish. And okay, as soon as I click it on, I want to run home to my mummy just before I click the mic on. As soon as I click the mic on, I'm in. But it's just one of them. Takes the pressure off when you just chat in the evenings. So just trying to make it easier. But not looking forward to having you there.
Yeah.
And I do listen to the odd podcast. It's not a thing I've ever gotten into. I guess I've got 3 kids from between 5 and 10, and I'm trying to get them mountain biking, hiking, fishing, supping, all just anything outside off tech, and it's like it's hard work. It's really hard work, and they'll all rebel against it, but it's in there, and they'll all come back to it because I did it a lot as a kid, and I went away from it, and I come back to a lot of it. So it's just to me, I think, yeah, you're living in the lakes. Let's get outside. Let's do stuff.
Yeah.
Doesn't go down well at the pump track in the village here when my 4-year-old or 5-year-old's full face helmet, body armor, and I'm asking her why did you hurt yourself when you crashed? And she's I don't know. I said you're going too slow. You have to go faster. All her parents don't like that. I don't care. I want to be driving the van for her when she's on the world circuit.
It's amazing. Yeah. Yeah, I'm exactly the same with, my girls are a bit are older, so I've got a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old. And they, as much as they do like the technology when they're allowed to use it, they are outdoor kids, and they'll, if you give them the option between sitting and watching TV or going out paddleboarding, they'll be out paddleboarding. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm happy about that.
yeah.
So
You put the
looking,
energy in, it works.
yeah, exactly.
That's what I
Yeah.
find. You
Yeah,
put the effort in, it works.
you get out what you put in, don't you, with anything? Yeah, awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on, Davey, and giving us some of your time. And I know this, as the week goes on, you're going to get busier and busier. So I appreciate you giving us a bit of an insight to your background and some inside information on the lap. And looking forward to catching up with you in person next weekend and doing some podcasting with you.
Awesome. Likewise.
Nice. Cheers for coming on. Thanks for listening, everyone. Cheers. Bye.